Hi. The music I have playing is a sound file, and the blessing that it brings, it's called Cold and Flu Remedy. So I have recently bought a number of beneficial sound files, and I'm playing them quietly in the background all the time. So I'm just being real with you. That's what's going on. All right, now pondering. My heart has been pondering. I just finished listening to a half an hour interview with Dannion Brinkley. Uh, Maybe you've heard of him. He is a near-death experiencer, struck by lightning, dead for 28 minutes. And Dr. Raymond Moody really enjoyed working with and learning from Dannion because he had such an extensive experience. And a rare one, too. He went and met with 12 beings and a 13th, and was shown, he didn't realize it at the time, but he was shown future happenings and given his mission to come and support life here and sent back. And it's such a nice reminder of who and what we are and what we're not. Dannion was worse than a jerk. Dannion was a bully and as mean and nasty as they come. He was just a mess. Went into the military and probably enjoyed the killing. I mean, he was just, that's how he was. And it was quite a shock to him to be going through the life review. You go through the tunnel, and if you stay dead long enough, you'll get what he calls a panoramic life review, where you get to be all of the people that you've ever interacted with or had an impact upon in your life. And even if you never met them, if you had an interaction with somebody that resulted in that somebody going and having an interaction with somebody else, you get to see the chain of events that you started, and you don't see it from the third party. You get to experience it as those people. And so no doubt that was quite miserable for him. And people, when they have these experiences, they come back totally changed. And so Dannion kept the fun parts of his personality, I think, but his orientation is quite spiritual now, and his life's work is service to us. He helps people cross over. He has a brigade, an organization where he trains people to be there so that when someone is passing, they have someone to attend them who has more understanding than the average bear, as Yogi would say. And why am I saying all of that? Well, if Dannion can do it, anybody can. And if Dannion didn't get sent to hell for his near-death experience, it really makes you question, is there a hell? Come on. All right? And yet he was received in complete and total, all-enfolding, all-encompassing love, as we all are. Some people fight the experience and they're in fear. A lot of times people are afraid to cross over because of what they've been taught. The religions, the sense of guilt and fear to be judged and fear of hell and all that kind of thing. And that can make the near-death experience mighty uncomfortable. But as he says, once you let go, once you surrender that, then you're open and available to the love that's there. And this is love with a capital L and the OVE as well. It's truly divinity, and there's not a word to contain it. Okay, so I'm with Dannion. He says we are mighty indeed, great spiritual beings. It's a wonder we come down and have these lifetimes, friends. It's a wonder because it's so far from who and what and how we really are. And that's part of the wonder and the joy, though. That's the trick and the challenge that we took on when we took embodiment, is to bring that here and to bring this there, to have a meeting and a merging with the higher self. And so that's what we're about. And, check Dannion out. Use startpage.com. I don't use Google anymore. They store too much info and share it with the ABC folks. Thanks, but no thanks. They store your IP as well, your address. Bunch of hogwash. Okay, so we are great and mighty spiritual beings who have been quite terribly misled. All right, but remember now, we volunteered for this. We're here to show how it's done, how to throw off the yoke of lies that we've had put upon us, and how to step into the majesty and the divinity that is God manifest through us. That's who and what we are. And that's a transition, I think, that needs to happen. Examining our beliefs is really, really good, because our life is crafted out of our beliefs. What we're afraid of, there's a physics to that, and we're magnetizing it. We're bringing it into the life by the fear. What we're polarized, both for and against. It's just really good to look at these things. Only look from heart and look from the perspective of this great being that you are. That is in there, and through heart, you're in direct contact with it. That good feeling you get when you place your attention in the center of your chest, that's part of reconnecting, connecting up with the inner divinity that's there. Now, this is a fear-based society. That's the way it's been crafted. If nothing else, you fear not having enough money. There are the active fears, the passive fears, the aggressive fears, and the hidden and the subconscious ones. There's layers and levels and layers and levels. If you have anger about anything, if you'll be patient with yourself, take up your post in the heart and look at that anger and keep looking at what's underneath, at what the source of it is, you will find fear. All right? Anger is a response to fear, and sometimes it's tricky. Sometimes it takes a while to uncover, and then you uncover it and you think, oh, that's it, I've got it, I figured it out, only to find that you will go through layers and layers and go deeper and deeper to find the growth that's buried there. And so this is our joy. We are the light beings. We've turned around now. We've been headed out into materiality, out into 3D, out into our explorations and our experiences. But we've turned around now, and we're headed back. And it's not, to me, so this up into heaven or away or anything. Headed back is headed back within, All of the divinity, all of the delight, all of the joy, all of the majestic kingdom, that's within. I mean, Jesus said it himself, the kingdom is within. And, you know, I hadn't thought of it before, but this is another way we can understand the being born again. You are new. You are made new for a fact as you take up your stand in heart. And the beliefs are shed, one or two or 10 at a time, you know, however it happens, as we see what's acting in our world. Most of it disappears in a flash right there. As soon as it's seen, it loses all of its power to manipulate and control you. Now, there are structures, dark structures that are built within, crafted of all of these various fears and the way they interlock and interpenetrate and trigger each other and you know, the whole thing. That's okay. No big deal. That's all unreality based. And just view from heart. That's all. These things will take care of themselves. All right, now where am I going with this? Part of this being a fear-based society, that gets down deep within us. That gets right to the core of your cells. You know, your biology gets infused with that fear, infected with it. And so it causes your angle of vision, your perspective, to morph and alter in ways you're not presently aware of. I'm not presently aware of. And so one thing I want to suggest is when we're frightened, we want to hear somebody tell us a good story. We want to hear somebody prophesy a wonderful outcome. We want to hear somebody come and tell us, oh, it all has meaning, and here's what the meaning is, and everything's going to turn out all right, and you're going to be rescued, and the earth is going to, you know, we yearn and we hunger for that. And that's another one of the ways that fear is used to manipulate us. Because when we're fearful, we're grasping at straws. It gets so difficult. Life can get so that it seems so very difficult that we want some good news. And so perhaps we start believing in things where on the surface it looks like it's good news and it looks like it's from light beings and so on. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. But I just want to suggest that we all back off a few steps from that. Personally, I have found that as I disidentified from being the body, from being the mind, and as the excavation goes on and layers and levels and unbelievable garbage is cleared from my consciousness, many, many, many beliefs are shed and let go of, that I was enabled to see more deeply into a lot of these things. And personally, I'll just come out and say it. Personally, anyone that's channeling Salusa and the Ashtar group and all of that, personally, that's distasteful to me. And so I'm not suggesting anyone adopt my beliefs, but I am suggesting that we take a look and see what might be underneath us wanting such messages of rescue and all that kind of thing. how much of that is self-created out of our own desperation. And it just came to me this morning as I was pondering that people living in fear in this endless jangle of nerves that present day Western society is, it's little wonder that we fall for these things. I did. I mean, I followed Mike Quincy for a while, and the other one, I can't think of his name right now. I see his face. But any of these, I don't need them. And a lot of times when it sounds too good to be true, well, maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Remember, I could be wrong. I'm just sharing my path for what it's worth. I mean, it's certainly been useful for me. Things are coming along well. One of the things that I'm noticing is that there's more strength flowing through, and I'm using it to clean up my space. And oh God, that feels so good, to have the strength to do these things. The once a year major cleanup of all the hummingbird feeders, soak them in the bleach and get the little toothbrush out and get them all nice and clean and ready, and all the standing at the sink that it takes to do all of these things. Not so long ago, I wasn't up for that. For several years, I didn't even feed the hummingbirds. I didn't feed the birds. I was a gardener. I let everything die. It was just, there were some difficult years there. But the beauty here is that what you're watching on the outside is also going on the inside. And so as I see this taking place on the outside, I realize, oh, there's cleansing. There's internal cleansing going on. And that's what it looks like on the outside. So as I'm fond of saying, if you want to clean your chakras, you can start it from the spiritual level and, invoke the light and do your yoga, that kind of thing. Or you can start it on the physical level and you can go wash your windows, which represent your chakras, the flow of the light energy. And you can get the spiral started from the spiritual or the physical level because it's all connected. It's all one. Everything we see outside of us is precipitated out there from what's inside of us. And that includes the whole Fukushima thing and just everything, the strip mining, all the good stuff, all the bad stuff. What we're looking at on the outside is a manifestation of what we are on the inside. And while what we're looking at looks terrible, and there's this temptation to point fingers and all of that, we can't point a finger at anyone but the self because you wear all the parts, all the faces, they're yours. Okay, so finger pointing is really a way to stall your path. That's all it does. But as we clean up on the inside, this is just so tremendously empowering, this heart vision, because we are the ultimate power. And like a fractal, your cleaning up your space makes a difference to the whole. And even though that's hard on the mind, it's hard because we've been taught that we're these little bitty worthless nothings. How could little bitty me doing some little bitty something like cleaning bird feeders have anything to do with cosmos? I don't know how, friends. I just know that it does. It does. Everything is one. And if everything is one, you are that one. What you do, what you think, what you say, what you feel, it all matters. So let's open our vision, our lens a lot wider. Let's catch those beliefs at work And maybe think again, and maybe table it for a while. You know, if you're not sure, table the belief and come to it a week or 10 days from now. Look at it again and see. When we set our intent, which is just our desire, you know, and if you put focus and intensity behind it, when we set our intent to abide in heart, to be light beings, to ascend, to serve life, when you're a being walking around full of intent like that, it matters. You magnetize what is necessary to make it so. We're divine beings. We're divinity walking, made manifest. And we're here to do this in a very public way, to take this earth back. And we do it not by guns and fists, not by pointing fingers, not by whining and playing the victim. We do it by getting our own personal act together. Be in heart.